Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Oscar's Cozy Corner, and welcome back to another Disney Dreamlight Valley decorating long play video. We are starting our build today up here in a very rainy Mythopia. I don't mind the rain sometimes in the game. I quite like the sound effects. It's quite relaxing, so for a cozy long play, I suppose it works. But we're going to be working in the Elysian Fields today, which does have this really nice curved pool. I do wish, maybe upon a star, that one day we could get curved pathing and fencing, but I'm not sure that's ever going to be the case. We do actually see it in the game, but we've never actually gotten it. So I'm hoping that one day we will be able to get our teeth into that, but until then, we're going to have to work with what we've got. Talking about working with what we've got, I've put down, as I usually do, a mood board of some different Hercules or Grecian inspired items. This is not exhaustive, of course. You can use whatever you like if you're decorating. But for this area, I do want to lean into this Hercules theme now that we have a lot more items for this particular biome. And actually, the Elysian Fields doesn't feel as big as some of the other biomes in Mythopia, but it actually is, because this one over here has this rock formation and the pool. This one again has two kind of like water sources. And I think the only one that's much bigger in comparison is the statue's shadow, which I do already have a build in. So today we're going to be trying to find some sort of design that works over here. I don't think we're going to get the chance to lean into too much symmetry today. Not unless we kind of center ourselves here, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be done every time. I do like the aspect of this biome, and it's kind of the first one that you come to when you come up from the bind. So I think we're just going to start by having a play around and just see what might work where, because we've got a few different items. We've got the Agora stuff, so that was a premium shop selection with some more columns and kind of walls over here. And we've also got the stuff from the star path, the godly glamour star path, which includes the stadium seating and then a few more columns, which are very thin for columns over here. Looking at this set, I kind of feel like I want to use the Agora stuff down in this area. I guess when I look at Mythopia, I almost feel as though this section is maybe the showstopper section. Like if I'm thinking of this in terms of if real people lived here and this was a community, this would be like where all the government buildings are and the fountains and all of that sort of thing. And then when I look at the stadium or the stadium seating and the adjacent stuff for that, I kind of feel like somewhere up here or maybe down in front of Mount Olympus would be the perfect place to have a stadium. That's an old DreamSnap build I have down here. So I think that we could get away with doing like almost like a civic center area with some of the nice buildings and the nice gazebos and all that sort of stuff. So I don't think we're going to be using the stadium stuff today. So I think we're going to start with maybe popping down some of these golden Agora buildings, and we can just kind of work our way around that. Obviously, I don't think you can decorate down by the trial areas. I don't believe that you can put anything down there. They seem to be locked off, and that's where a lot of the resources do spawn, which is fine. So we'll just not worry about that in general. But I think maybe we'll put that over here for now. The one thing that does make me think is where I could fit or how I could get some sort of build around this pool. Like I don't really know what to even put around this because it is rounded, and I feel like I do want to keep the aspect of that open so you can still get to the water, you can still fish and see it looking lovely and all those sorts of things. But maybe it's the case that we have a gazebo like right in front of it or something along those lines, or we have two gazebos back to back, and then maybe we could put some sort of path in the middle of them that comes out here, and then we could surround them with some nice lush foliage so you can still get to and access that area. I think that would be a nice idea. We do have these fountains of Thebes as well, which I really do love. They look so good. pretty accurate to the movie as well. I actually think over on this side, I know I'm using this area as a little bit of storage at the moment, but I do actually think that these gates could be pretty cool just in this area. So when you come down from the bind or you come down from this area, this really is your like introduction to Mythopia, and it does feel as though they belong in this space. So I definitely think we use the open gates here, and then maybe we could even put just a little bit of foliage around those as well to make them feel blended. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to grab a path, and we're going to see what we've got, because unfortunately Gameloft never gave us these paths. And I mean, these would have been perfect for Mythopia, these sort of paths that they use, these cobblestone paths, all sorts of paths that we could have. These ones, there's literally like 5 or 6 different path types that we could have gotten with Mythopia that we never did. So we're going to have to work with something else. We might need to use maybe the gold and opal road. And I know that I don't have a lot of that right now, but I think I prefer the gold and opal than I do the gem and opal, because this is just a nicer pattern. It's not got the gemstones in it, which throw me off a little bit sometimes just because the gemstones are different colors. So if I swap over to that one, I do like the path, but I think I prefer it when it's gold personally. But I'm just going to move these out of the way at the moment because I'm trying to find the center of this pool. And I think if I lose this right hand side, I might even lose that one. That feels roughly the center, I would say, maybe with the third one across. That kind of feels like the center of that. So I can bring maybe these in line here. The nice thing about the gold and opal road is it does have almost like a built-in grid. So you can work with those lines at least. So I'm going to do that there, and then we're going to do that just out here. Okay, that looks nice. I wonder, part of me was wondering whether something should be here, but I don't know if it should, because I still want to be able to access that to actually do some fishing and things. I mean, it could be the case that we use a lot of gold down here, primarily because if this is our very regal civic center, that could be how we display that wealth. I do want to place a rug down, which I don't think I've gotten out just yet, and that's the Greek mosaic rug. So I'm going to pop that just over here as well, just to make sure I've got one of those down, because obviously that marble kind of floor is imperative to be used in a design like this. So I don't know. Part of me is wondering, I know I've just done that, but actually, I was thinking whether to come down the outsides of it, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. Let me just see. Okay. That's fine. Everything's fine. I didn't know whether I could sit this like right in the middle of this gold border. That's all I'm playing with right now. It's just seeing whether it could be placed. And it can be placed like that, which actually looks, in my opinion, quite cool. I brought these out maybe by 2, and then I brought these out maybe like that. Then we change it back to diagonal. You see, it just kind of hugs that then, and it just feels a little bit more interesting. And I think that's what you sometimes have to do with stuff in Disney Dreamlight Valley, is you just kind of have to break it up in your own way and make it work however it works for you. But I think that's a good start in the middle. After me saying I'm not going to do symmetry, here I am building some symmetry, but we will go off east with the symmetry when we do the other areas. It has very kindly already stopped raining, so we have a little bit of sunlight up here in Mythopia today. The one thing that I've not placed down yet is any foliage in my mood board area, but I already know what I'm going to be using for that. It's going to be lots of greenery, lots of pinks. and then some yellows, and also the river kits. I do want water in this area, so I'm going to have to think about how I integrate that properly. I'm going to just put some of the smaller pieces down because I do love the river kit, but some of those pieces are just absolutely enormous. And then we're also going to take a look at where that can go. So actually what I'm thinking right now is I'm thinking of having almost this as a walkway, maybe. So like, I think I need to grab a temporary path, and I'm just going to pop, let's do this one, and I'm going to come down from the edge of the pool. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So let me see, where was that? That was half over. Can't get quite half over with that one, but I can get to there. And I'm just going to, actually, let me get rid of that because I'm hitting the shrub. But let's do there. And I'm going to bring that all the way down. In fact, I'm going to come across by one. And I'm going to bring that one down. And that roughly looks centered to me now. So what I'm thinking is, actually, if we use those as guides for where this walkway needs to be, and for that bit, we could use something like these just up against the wall, maybe. All the way down. Now, I know that it's unfortunate that using these eats into the item limit. We don't have any wider ones. Let's do that. And let's just see how many we need to bring it down here. Gameloft do have a tendency of doing that. They did something similar with the very small Edwardian fence that we got. Instead of kind of giving us multiple pieces where some were longer and they could count as one piece, like they could have given us a 2-piece, a 3-piece, and maybe even a 4-piece. So then when we place one of those down, it could have been, you know, one item instead of 4. That would have made a real difference. And where are we? We're about there. So as you can see, I think I need to move. Maybe if I come across by 2, we are just about right. So that looks good to me. I was thinking, yeah, we could have those columns running down here. I do believe if I jump out of furniture mode and let that save, that I can run between these columns, so I can still access that mining node. If I just pop down here, I can, which is great. So we could do something like that. And then maybe in front of those, either in front or behind, I can't decide. But if I search topiary, we can grab the trusty Alice in Wonderland ones. And then maybe we could put these just in front. And we could test. Because I quite like that. But I wonder what it would look like if we actually had these in front. Luckily with group mode, it makes it a little bit easier to do that now. And I do kind of like them being behind the columns as well. However, I do realize that I've just gone against what I said, which was leaving the mining node open for myself. However, if I grab these and I come back just enough, maybe if I come back by 4, that should still leave that open for me. And I still should, in theory, be able to get around the back so I could run to that node if I needed to, which is great. You don't have to cover every single inch of the biome, obviously. Well, unless you want to. But I think I kind of prefer them behind, so I'm going to leave those. Do that. I do need to move them all across just by one tile. Just so they're sitting right where I want them. So that's a great start for that. And then we could possibly, I don't know whether to have the water running down the middle, which is what I'm leaning to. So if I were to do that, because I want to have these either side of the water because they do butt up against it. I'm thinking, I don't know whether just one is too thin, but I could do one and maybe the two, and that doesn't make it feel as big. A little bit more awkward, but let's try that. So it would be coming down here like this. And then we just do a couple more. I don't think I need to go all the way to the edge with this one. If I do that and then I grab this smaller one. I believe if I grab it straight from my furniture selector, it should... I was going to say it should give me the extra space. It should go where it needs to go automatically, but it does not seem to want to do that, which is fine. I probably should have saved this as a preset because obviously we can do that now. And that would have been easier than placing them down one by one. But you know what? I have committed. We're committed. Me and this water are in a committed relationship to finish this length if I can actually get it right. Nearly there. Just a handful more. So close. Right at the end. So close. And then what I'm looking at now is actually it does feel... This feels off center, right? When I look at this now. So I think maybe if I use some trusty rugs as measuring... Let me grab these. 1, 2, maybe we'll come across 3 and see if that makes a difference. 1, 2, 3. I think that's evenly spaced, just like that. So I do think this area is slightly off, maybe. If I were to bring... I can't believe I started this video by saying... I'm not going to do symmetry. And here I am measuring with rugs again, but never mind. Never mind. Okay, 1 there. And it looks as though... Wait, do I just need to come across by 1? 2? Aha, it was 2. But I have to bear in mind where my path is. That actually... Well, see, if I get rid of that, I'm kind of stuck. So I'm kind of beholden to where the path needs to be happy, which is there. But let me just remove that sec. Let me see if I can wing this myself. I don't think I'm going to be able to, just based off what I'm seeing. Because it looks as though the path itself is quite off. So I think I'm going to just restart with the path. Because those are equally spaced now. So in theory, where are we looking at for the middle? That's roughly where the middle of the path needs to be. So if I were to grab the golden brick road again... Oh. I don't know what I was doing wrong. It seems as though there is a middle of the path. But I know what it's going to be. It's going to be the fact that the rug is not going to fit in that space quite as nicely as we originally had it. So let's just do it anyway. Let's fill out the space. Let's get rid of those two. Bring this out and down. Fill that side in. And then fill that side in. Then maybe we could come out like this. Maybe another one. Maybe we could come out there. I'm going to get rid of the center. And I'm going to grab one of these paths and we're going to see where it needs to be happy. And yeah, as we suspected, it's not in the ultimate place because it's going to need a bit more of a border around it to be happy. But let me just see where that will end up being. So around about there. And obviously, as you can see, we can't have it butt up if that's the case. So I'm wondering whether there's anything I could do with... Where did they go? My golden runways. See, it doesn't really work going around that one either. I was going to see if I could border it this way. I mean, you could maybe do something like that. Actually, wait. What am I doing? What am I doing? Remove all of that. Let me just fill in that space. I know it won't have the border running exactly where I wanted it originally. But it was just because the border was showing up halfway through that it was throwing me off. But we can just place this... on there. I mean, it's the same thing. It just doesn't have the border running right around the edge of that. But, you know, I'm fine with that. One thing I do need to do is remove those. All right. Not quite as vavavoom as it was previously. Unless we do something like this. Maybe... I can't decide where I've gone wrong over here. Oh, I haven't gone wrong. It's just that. I mean, that feels cool. I'm fine with something like that. I think the one thing I did try when I first got these items, I thought, could I put a border around these actual Agora gazebos, but you can't, unfortunately. It doesn't quite work. I'm not sure I like that. I'm not sure I like this whole section, but that's fine. Let's go back to the water because that's where the focus was. That's where the focus was. So I'm just going to get rid of that a little bit back there. It's the spikes. I think the spikes are too much. Actually, that doesn't look too bad. Okay. We know that that's centered. I unfortunately cannot grab all of them. Because I think I need to come back maybe 2 tiles. But in that case, I could probably use the rug again. But on this side, I may add some more stuff. So actually, I should probably think about putting this around it. So let's do that. I'm going to have this running up the sides because it does butt right up against it, which I really like. So let's do that. We could put some fountain pieces in there or something along those lines to help sell the illusion of it being a long fountain area. Maybe we could even put the marble fence around it. That would be very nice. It seems as though we can only go to there, which makes sense. Because I'm not even sure we can get that there, you know, because we'd have to be out. But actually, will that fit? Did I make a mistake by doing that? Because will that fit this longer piece? And it will. So it looks like we'll just get rid of this. Get rid of these ones. Move this back. Like that. Grab this and place that down. And then we can do... Maybe we can just do the one there. And then on this side, I'll be able to go 1 and 2. Three, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That might be just about right. Just over the edge. Just over the edge. Look at that. Right in the center. So then we've got that little walkway with the pool in the middle. Yeah, that's fun. Obviously, we do have the marble fence, which is a perfect match for Mythopia. I didn't know whether to integrate this in any way, to maybe run it around the edge. Sometimes you have to be careful with getting it aligned because it has some funny columns to it sometimes, but I think maybe we could do something like this. And then on the other side, I could do this on one corner, this on the other. And then I'm just going to see how it looks, providing I have enough of running it all the way down. I just can't ever quite work out what they're grouped in. Because sometimes I see a group of 3, then there's 1, then there's 3, then there's 1, then there's... But then on the end, sometimes there's like 2 and then a space, and it's always quite difficult, but I think that looks okay. If I jump out of furniture mode and we save that, I think it looks pretty good. The one thing that I would like, but I don't think it's going to be possible, is actually I would like to give it some space before this gold path kicks in. However, I do worry about the edges if I do that. Because if I come down by 2, obviously we're losing the corner pieces, essentially. So then there's a gap, which, you know, is a little bit annoying, but I do kind of like having it on. I do kind of like having it on the grass instead of having it on the actual border. However, we also lose the fact that it butts up against it then. So maybe I just put up with it. And we just go with having it on this. So we can kind of put our water feature in a nice little centerpiece, just like that. And just while it's on my brain, I don't think that the water curtain can sit on water. However, I do think that the tiles can sit underneath. So yeah, the water curtain can't. But I do believe that there is a fountain tile. If we look somewhere down here, it's one of the first items. Yeah, you can place this underneath. So it is pretty much hidden by the water. But it's still kind of there, you know? So let's do that. Actually, let's put it there. And then I think if I do every other one, it's going to... So let's do double. So it's going to go there. And there. So then I'm going to leave 2 full ones. There and there. 2 full ones. There and there. I'm just going to do that all the way down. It does get a little confusing on the eyes. And we're just going to have to see if we hit 1, 2, 3. If we hit where I think we're going to hit, or whether it's going to go a little bit wrong. There and there. And then, what have we got? Here? There. There and there. But I think that's right. Now, they're all going off at different times right now. However, if you go inside a building, or if you fast travel to a different well, or something like that, they will all sync up. So you don't have to worry about that. But I think that looks... I mean, the fountains look a little bit sad, but that's okay. We will hopefully get nicer fountains one day. But for now, these ones will do. And I think when they're synchronized, it'll look even better. Part of me is wondering, actually, where our middle bit is. So obviously this is the center. I'm actually thinking, what if we had something else in that middle bit? So I'm thinking maybe not the Fountain of Thebes, but there is a Hercules one, which looks fantastic. Very gold, very regal. We could have that in the center just like that, maybe. And instead of having... Could we have the path come down here? That might mean making it half size. Look at this. I'm just destroying the whole build, but bear with me. I do have something in my mind. Could we do maybe that and that? And then could we move... Oh, look what we've done now. Look what we've done now. Do you know what? We're just getting rid of the water. We're just completely getting rid of the water, but that's okay. If we do that, we could get rid of that bit of fence, that bit of fence, that bit of fence. Let's bring it up to there. Actually, no, it would be walking around it, wouldn't it? So let's go across here. Bring that up, come across here, like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the centers. I'm going to bring them across so they look a little bit better. Same on this side, which is what we did on the ends. Just bring that to the middle. Just like that, and then grab the other side. And it just looks a little bit better. And then we could have some foliage around this instead, so it still acts as a path. Or maybe we make the ground gold for now. Okay, doesn't look like we can get it where I want it to be, and I think this rug is too big. So I think for a second I'm just going to leave that as is. What I am going to do is I'm going to go back and grab my river kits in different sizes. So that one fits on the end. That one fits on the end. And then we should be able to fit one in the middle. for one of the kits. Looks like I'm slightly off center with these. So we're going to move those across. Grab that, place it. Then we can grab the smaller pool, which can sit just in the middle like that. I think that is just about what I'm after. There we go. So it's gone from one long piece now to actually two shorter ones with a nice fountain in the middle, which I think works. I'm just going to double check by searching fountain just to see whether we've got any other ones. This is the only other gold one, but I want the water to be real. And honestly, this is one of the best looking fountains in the game. So I think we stick with that for sure. Can't go under that, which is a shame. I wish we could place stuff on top of these water tiles. We are restricted sometimes in that capacity. However, we persevere. Now I do finally have this elegant stone fence. I didn't know whether to place this somewhere, but it feels a little bit too tall, especially when taking into account like this fountain. It just doesn't feel like it fits. I feel like the marble fence just is a slightly better fit on this occasion. But I'm actually quite happy with how all of that looks. And obviously, if you've been around for my builds previously, you know that a lot of the finishing touches come from foliage rather than the actual pieces that we use. So I love bringing in foliage to do some of the heavy lifting. I'm looking at these really big, like, I guess these are kind of like baths, like Roman baths or something along those lines. I'd love to be able to fit those in, but I don't know whether they can go sort of back to back, whether they can butt up against each other. It seems like they can. And even then, I don't know whether they could go like as a quad, how close I could get them together like that. Seems as though you can get them, I mean, pretty close. So you could create some sort of like bathing area if you wanted to, which actually I'm quite liking the idea of. I just don't know where that would go just yet. But we will have this space as well. Although that kind of goes down to that little underground bit. Also, why did we never get those blue swirly pieces? Anyway, that's me getting distracted with something else. Let's carry on with this little section, this little area. Still not loving the shape, of this, I cannot lie. I'm not sure what I've done here. It's all just gone a little bit wrong for me. Like, what is this? This does not look how I originally envisioned. So I don't know. I'm just gonna do this real quick. Just real quick. And we'll find some other use for that. But I definitely think we need a path between these gazebos, of course. I don't know whether to bring in... I didn't know whether to bring in something like this. Because it does kind of fit in that space. You can't use the path as much. And the fountain is directly underneath it. But I didn't know whether to do it here. Kind of like over the fountain. Or whether to pop it in the middle of these gazebos. I feel like both is fitting and quite impactful, but I just think because it's got ceiling, maybe not having a ceiling in the middle is the best choice. Interestingly, I'm looking at this and I'm half wondering whether it can actually sit over this. Oh, it can. It can sit over the water. which is very interesting. I wasn't expecting that. So it could actually sit over... What do you not like? You don't like the other fence? I know we've just spent time putting this fence down. Just bear with me. I've always got the undo button. How many of these can I fit? I can fit 4 of them. Oh my goodness. You know what? I just can't help but feel a little affinity for this covered walkway, because we do have one of the very old premium shop kits. Where did I put it? This mighty gazebo, which really is nowhere near as big. I do prefer the columns on this. This feels more Grecian to me. So this does feel like it has a lot more to offer in terms of a Greek aesthetic. However, it can't go over the river kit, which is fine. But look at that. There's something about that that's kind of piquing my interest. But now I don't know. I don't know. What else have we got? I know we've got these side pieces. I mean, I've already got those all the way down the back. If I did something like this, I know I'm removing a lot of the feeling of it being a walkway now, but I wonder if we have the walkway as a gold path around the edge. If I just show you something very quickly, we could do maybe the golden brick road running up the sides. Kind of like this. Probably need to extend it by another one. If I do 2 down here. And then at least another one going up the sides. Bring that down to the edge. And then bring at least another one down here. Maybe this is a bit imposing. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. Do you see the vision, friends? Do you see the vision? Because I'm seeing the vision. And these can clip quite far into each other. You can actually have them really clip in. I didn't realize that they gave us so much clipping ability. So you can have them up against each other, but then you can also have them come quite far in. If I did something like that, a chance. And then what if I did something similar that side, and then we could maybe work with some more of these on the outside? Will I be able to fit 2 in? Yes, by the look of it. And they could even be like internal ones, I guess. Where does that want to go? Where do you line up? So it does seem to line up right about there. This is just me experimenting, by the way. As I like to do if you've watched my long plays previously. Okay, with that one, we're blocking off the fountain, so I don't think that quite works in the center like that. Unless we ended up doing, I don't know, something like this. maybe because I can get it to clip in. But it looks as though that's as close as I can get it on the sides. So it'd have to come out, and then it's going to start looking a little bit strange if we have the overhang like that. I don't dislike it, but it's just not quite right. I mean, it would need to be like that, which is not the end of the world. But if I remember, those can actually go underneath it, which is even stranger. Let me see. I do kind of like that, though. I do kind of like that. I don't know whether to have the flat side also, like, showing on, like, it's just too many choices. There's too many choices for me. I'm kind of into what I'm seeing right now. The only thing is, I feel like I need to fill in the space so I can get rid of the border, but so I can also have the gold come in the middle where the fountain is. Because the only way I'm going to be able to hide the border is to do that. So I'm going to need to craft a little bit more of this. So let me do that real quick. I mean, it does feel very Grecian now, actually, with the covers on it. So let me continue filling this in because I did just craft a bunch more of the golden path. So we only have a few rows of that to go. So I bring that down to there. We bring this one all the way down. This one all the way down. And this one. That means now, see, that the fountain has the gold underneath it, which is what I was going for. I'm wondering, I could either bring in this elegant stone fence, maybe, and we place it between the columns like this. Or we place the marble between the columns. Marble fence. Which also works. I feel like because we've got a lot of column going on now, and we do have a lot of column, especially these back pieces, I feel like having the column at the back, the column on the Agora type thing, and the columns on the fence now maybe doesn't feel as strong. Whereas having the stone fences maybe does give us a little bit of extra visual interest with the different pattern on it, because it's a much nicer pattern, and we could place them a little bit closer to the water so they're inset. So we're getting a little bit of change in variation and depth. Something like that. I actually do quite like that. So let's see if we can do that on the outsides as well. One here and one here. I know that we do have a corner piece or like a column that goes with this stone fence. However, I don't think it's going to fit where it technically, quote unquote, should go, which is about there. But I think that's fine. I think that's fine. We could just place maybe one on each corner just to, I don't know, add a bit of effect. Either that, or I could just use a single marble fence column on the corners. I do actually like using the single ones sometimes, because you can actually use those little marble ones with these stone fences, although they're not quite the same height. But I don't know, it just adds a bit of extra something. So let's do that. Let's bring this around. I really love just doing builds like this where I kind of just free flow and get into a bit of a flow state with it all. Something like that. And then we can place them on this side too. Okay, came across one too far with that. And then let's do here, here. And then we've just got this reverse side to go. Like that. Done. And then we've got our water features. This does feel very civic. I feel like it does feel very civic. So I'm happy with that. We could also just do like little corner pieces. Oh, actually, that looks even better than just the columns. Just little corner pieces like that. I think looks fun. So let's do that. Let's do... Maybe we could do them on the corners here, around the fountain. So something like this on each side. Yes, I like... Let's do that again here. Let's do one here. A little bit finicky when you're working with just like single bits of fence. There we go. See, that just adds a bit of visual interest around that particular fountain, which I like. Okay, that feels good. This feels really good. This feels really good. I need to place them. Where did they go? On the corners over here too. So just 2 more corners. 1 here. Like that. And 1 here. Just like that. I think that looks a lot better than where we started, which is always the goal, right? We're always trying to make things feel a little bit better than they were before. And we can see from my character's point of view, it all looks pretty good. We can also add foliage and stuff in, because I'm definitely going to do that. We will work on foliage a little bit later, but things like these do not go on this floor. Okay, that's fine. Disregard what I just said. I was going to put like one of these just around about here in this corner. However, there's probably something in foliage that we could use maybe with a smaller footprint. I don't quite remember if there's anything in here with a relatively small footprint that might be happy enough to go in here, but it looks as though... There we go. Something like that. That's what I mean. Something like that. We could have these on the edges or in the corners, and then that will really just set it off, because there's going to be a lot of nice tropical style foliage for sure that works with this build. Disregard what I just did. Okay, so I'm happy with how that section's looking. Let's revisit this. Let's bring this out kind of like that. At least it's centered of all things. Let's come just down to where the entrance of those is. Maybe we do one out there and one out there, one out there and one out there. Maybe we could do another one across here, something like this. Not sure how this is going to look when I change it to diagonal, but let's do... I love just playing with paths like this, but let's do something like that. See, it's got a nice pattern to it, so let's try changing that, and it just gives us something a little bit spikier. I don't know what that would look like. Let me see what that looks like quick. Oh, I think I prefer that. Oops, let's not do that. I think I prefer that. So sometimes you just have to play around and see what works. But I feel like that's a bit more interesting, at least. And then we could just get rid of the center like that. Maybe we could put, I don't know. What have we got? We got anything that we could put in here? I mean, we've got these small marble fountains. That does actually fit in that space. So we could pop maybe that there, and then maybe in the corners we could have a statue or two. I know that we've got these really big face statues. I think they may be a bit too big for those 2 spaces. I think they may be just a tad too big. However, what if we brought in... I was going to say, does this floral column fit? But I don't think it does. I mean, it could probably fit if you placed it on a diagonal. If I could just get that placement just right. Something like that. Don't know. That's always an option. What else have we got? I know that we've got the... I know we've got the big divine columns. They feel quite nice as well. We do actually have the Agora columns too. Well, actually, no, these are not from this set. However, they're not a million miles away in terms of style. But I'm not sure that they quite have the oomph of what I was thinking. I know we've always got these we could possibly use again, but I don't know whether these are quite right for this space. I'm actually going to say no to those straight away. They don't feel quite right. Let me just have another quick look. I mean, we do have these ones. We have the stone vines. Or we have these big kind of like stone lanterns. I think maybe they are a little too big again. Not quite what I'm after. Or we have this mighty gazebo, which again, not quite. Close, but not quite. Close, but not quite. No, that looks silly. I was just trying something there for a second, but I mean, the only other thing is we could possibly... I mean, it's a bit pointless, right? Not unless you... I mean, that's like inviting you to go into the pool to go to heaven. So maybe we won't do that. Maybe we won't do that, but I'm going to guess it's probably going to end up being foliage that we use in those little spots rather than some of this stuff. Although I do know that these columns can have the planet on them, but they are a little bit dinky. So this golden planet, I know, can go on those columns. But it's not really like, that's not very impactful, right? It's not the baba boom that I was necessarily thinking. Let me just check these divine columns. 1, 2. Yeah, not quite right. Not quite right, but that's fine. We do have the seating area as well. But I don't think we need the seating area here when it's right on the entrance to these gazebos, because otherwise it's going to be awkward to kind of walk around them, I fear, and get into the back. We could have the seating area somewhere else. Maybe we could have one here and also here. That's a possibility. I haven't done that before with the floor. I've never tried that, but there you go. Can't help but yeah. I think I'm going to come back to this one. Just looking at everything again, I think I'm going to come back to it. We do have these actual stone benches, which are quite nice, and they don't feel as intrusive as the big circular ones, I guess. They feel a little bit nicer to walk around. I just don't know what to put on this water. Feels like it's missing something. Unless I use some of these stone vine decorations. You know, like having one, but I don't think I'm going to be able to have the other one butt into that, right? Because it's a little bit too close. Yeah, it needs like so much space. So it would have to be coming out like this. Which actually I don't mind. So maybe we leave that there for now. Maybe we come on over to maybe the seating area. Now, before I get started on that, what can I do with these? Can these be used in any way to create something interesting for the seating area? I know we're going from circle to circle, so maybe that's not the strongest thing that we could do, but let me see what the circle creates. So that's in line, right? I just need to come across by 1. Unless I brought that down as far as I could down the... No, that... That's silly. That's silly, right? Circle, 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 circle. I don't love it. And where would you go to be on the circle? To be nicely placed in the circle, that would need to go there. And that's a little bit too close for comfort when you're talking to someone, right? You don't want to be touching knees. You don't want to be touching knees. So I think, what if I try... I'm just trying to figure out what I could do to make it feel different. It's just these are so gigantic when you actually place them down. You know, I was looking like that. Could I do a border edge in a similar way to that? Not sure that's also quite the idea that I'm after. I know that you can do like wiggly lines. You can do wiggly lines like this. I don't even know if I move that. Can I rotate those? No, I can only rotate on the 45, right? But I don't know if you can actually... You can't quite get them to match. I thought that we might be able to clip into each other like we could with the other one, but it's not a million miles away. I'm just trying anything at this point. I'm just really messing around, aren't I? So where would it be? It would be around here. I'm just thinking of, could we create some sort of border? Again, these just are so big that it's quite hard to work with them. It would be... It would need to be... one there. One there. Where would you want to go? There. I mean, I know that we've got this here right now, so let me remove that. And I think we can remove this one because we know we're at the edge. Maybe the squiggly is too much. Maybe the squiggly is a little bit much. The one thing that I did wonder if I could make in any way, and I know it's going to be probably enormous if I end up doing that, but this pattern, this, I think it's called like a Greek ornament pattern or something like that. I didn't know whether... I don't mind it like this, you know. I don't mind it like this, just coming along the edge like that. Just wish I could fit one more in. If I did it this way, it would be absolutely enormous. But if you do it on the diagonal, it makes it less intense. Okay, wait. Let me... I'm getting distracted. Let me try getting my path again. And I'm going to use just something... I don't know, this green bumblestone path. And I'm just trying to look at what this pattern is like. So it comes across. I have to come across for 2. Like this, maybe? But then that would go up again. So this is going to end up being absolutely enormous. What have I got? That's the bottom. Up, down, down. So actually this bit would need to come across like that. So that's the size it would need to be. It's not quite what I was going for, right? That feels... that would be that, essentially. So... I mean, this looks sus. This looks a little bit sus right now, so let me quickly go ahead and just put something else in there to try and break this up. I mean, we could do something like that, maybe, and then we're starting to lose, I fear. I fear we're starting to lose what the point was. But if I were to bring that across again, that then becomes this bit, right? So you would do... So you would do... maybe up there? Like that. Okay, I got the hang of it. I mean, that's what I was going for. That's the pattern. And actually, I think if we did the golden opal road with a border, and then we made this the gold brick road with the border, you see the vision? You can actually put in an enormous version of that Greek ornament, and I must say, I do quite like the idea of that. I do quite like the idea of that somewhere. I just don't know where. I can't make a smaller version of it. It's just not going to work, so it would have to be that big, but I don't know. Don't you think from above that's quite impactful? I'm going to quickly craft some more of the gold one without the gems, and we'll see if we can find a home for it. I think I do have enough now, so I'm going to get rid of those two. Those two Agoras from this section, because I know I've already got it over here. Actually, maybe we move that over towards there. And I was kind of wondering whether I have that path running down each side, or whether that might not... work. It's a shame that I can't save the path as a preset. That would make it a lot easier. I just can't decide. I can't decide. Maybe this is not... Maybe I shouldn't be doing this, but let's see. I wonder if I bring in temporarily... I'm just going to bring this in for a sec. Just coming down here. And then where do we go? We come across... that many? Because we're only coming across by 3 each time. And I could do it again. So we go up, come across, down. Across. I'm gonna get rid of that one, and that one. I'm gonna get rid of the stadiums as well, because I don't think I'm gonna use them for now. I think it looks quite cool. Let's do one across again. So I'm stuck there. However, could I get to there? I just have to try and adjust that mentally. I think I need to come down 1. Like that. Bring that up and across and down. And let's see how far we can get. I think that's it. That's the end. So then really I just need to fill in. And I could fill in with this one. Or I could fill in with the white one. I think it needs to be the white for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that, and I'm going to replace... where is it? This one. And then we can replace that with the same. But then off the back of that, I can now come down here, and I can just bring that all the way down each side. This might be a fruitless exercise, but you know what? I want to try. I just want to see how it looks. Maybe we extend this one then, where we come in down to about there. And then it would be just like that. Finish. Bring these ones up and down. Bring this down here, and then we can bring that down like that. Hey, that looks quite good. That looks quite good. I don't know if it's in the right place, but I like it. Let's do there. It is a little bit finicky with the path. Down here. Bring that up and across. I think that's it, right? That was as far as I could get with that one. So what would that be? That would be up there. Oh, interesting that I can still do that. So I'm going to have to try and remember the pattern on the edge. Where's the gold one? So bring that down into there. Do the same just over here. Like that. And then let me try and remember where that gold one needs to go. I think we go down, across, and then across. I think we're hitting the limit there. That's about as far as we can get, but and then we bring in the plain white one. Just fill in that little space. So we did what we could down there, but I mean that's a nice big Greek ornament element, right? That just kind of fits with the rest of the design. I don't think I could have made that any smaller in any way because it needed the space, because as soon as you take that into that, you've then got a 3 wide path, which would be much too big. So I think it looks pretty good. So I could probably go ahead and do the same thing maybe on the other side. I mean, now it's done. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, where should I put it? Right? I mean, you could have it from here to there on the edge of the biome, and maybe the edge of the biome down there, but I was kind of thinking of enclosing this little central bit with it instead. Let me jump out of furniture mode and see what it looks like. It looks pretty good, even from the character point of view. So I think maybe we could flesh this out maybe in some other way as well. I don't know, with foliage or something, because obviously it's quite a wide path. In theory, it could have gone underneath that, maybe all the way down, but I don't think it would be quite wide enough to actually have fit underneath those gazebos as well. So let's just work with that for now. I wonder if maybe we bring in some of the marble fencing in any way, maybe to just like break this up on the edges. It's going to be a case of just trial and error and seeing what works, what turns out nicely. Where are we? Something like that for this middle bit. And obviously I want to use stuff like the cypress trees. I do need to get my foliage on, but these cypress trees just look so good. And it could be that the paths kind of like wind around these instead, you know, something like this. And they use this. Oh, actually, okay, maybe that is what we do. We do something like that. All right, let's focus back on this little seating area for now, because we've got the ability to do so. I think maybe we have it this way instead. So we could have the path coming down off this in some way. And then maybe this is where we bring in these again. Maybe this is where we bring in the mosaics finally. And then we do something along the lines don't know, actually. I don't love the color of the mosaic with everything else we've got going on, because everything's quite gold, right? And gold and rich. And I know that there's a gold tone in this, but it's still got quite a deep blue compared to everything else, which is more of an aqua. Now, I don't think we've got any other rugs that would really be very suitable. I've got the flagstone doormats, which actually, let me put one of those down just to remember that's there. But we haven't got anything else that's really like Greek-esque. So maybe it's the fact that we have our seating area a little further down. Maybe we have the path kind of saying come this way, but then maybe we switch to the flagstone tiles and we make them stepping stone type things instead. Kind of like this. And then maybe we have the seating areas at the end of those. Actually, I don't think it needs to be 3. I think 2 is fine. I don't know if we can... No, we can't fit one in there either. And it doesn't actually quite fit in that space anyway. Maybe we could then bring in some more path. And maybe we do bring this gold section back in and we have an actual dedicated seating area. Kind of like this. And then we could maybe pop those aligned to that. And then I wonder if we get rid of the corners. Maybe change it so it's diagonal, makes it feel a little bit more interesting. And then I'm going to move these across just by 1. Actually, I'm going to move that back 1 too. Something like that could work. And then maybe we could even place, I don't know, some sort of pillar or something going up towards that. I mean, we do have the option of using these again. Let me change that to diagonal. But I don't want to overdo these. I do want them to feel like special. Yeah, I like having them just around the fountain. But it may be that this is like a seating area inside some foliage, so we should probably get some of that down at some point. I do quite like the idea of having the stone vines, though. Like, just out the... You know, just out the back, maybe. I could even fit them in. Okay, maybe 1 here and 1 there. Where's the closest you want to get? What are you hitting? Is it the back of that? It is the back of that. So if we were to do that, it would need to be all the way out there. Yeah, maybe they don't quite work. In theory, they sound nice, but maybe in practice, they're not quite the ticket. Unless we did them a little sooner. And it's something like that, maybe. I don't like those. I don't like those for that specific place. Maybe we could bring in the fence again, though. Maybe we could have the fence kind of like as the walkway, and maybe we could even use either this column or I think the divine one would be too big. I mean, it's not terrible, actually. We just need to bring it out a little bit. But it does feel a bit tall. Whereas this was actually made for those fence posts. So this one, for example, goes there, and that was actually designed for those. We could have maybe a column at the start and the end in some way. Or, you know, I've got rid of them. The only thing that does bug me about what I'm about to place down, which is these Agora pieces, they don't have... Okay, it's a bit tight. I don't think we're going to be able to fit them in. But they don't have, like, one with a gap. So, like, I could create these little seating areas, but they don't have one that doesn't have columns in the middle. So you can't actually create a seating area where you have a full roof, if that makes sense. You have to have it like this, I guess. But also these are a bit close, so you wouldn't actually be able to have the middle piece in there either, by the look of it. Because it would just be the corner pieces. And I think just the corner pieces looks a bit strange. And then there's also, again, there's just a lot of columns going on. Don't think, unless I used like these divine ones on each corner. Something like that, maybe. And where is that? Is that in line just about with that one? And then that would want to be, what, there? And there, maybe? Here. An out one. I think they all line up. I mean, you could do something like that, actually. That's quite nice. And then you could have the fence maybe coming off that. And then maybe back one. Sort of like that, you know? But I'm not loving how close the column is of this area to the nice statue over here. That does bug me slightly. So maybe I just lose the columns. Maybe I lose the columns and we use trees. And instead we place the fence like that. I'm just going to save that as fence for now. And then I should be able to grab it from my presets and just drop it in roughly where I want it. Is that right? No, you're one tile too close. Let's undo that. Let's grab that again, and then we can have it there. That's where it's meant to be. Just let that save. Don't like it with the fence here as well. But I do like having the little run-up. I do like having that little run-up. I don't know whether it's a case of maybe I want the goal path underneath those. And then maybe I'm trying to bring them in line a little bit better, like this. So they're centered to the fence. I think that works. I know I keep saying it, but this will make a real difference as well when we have foliage in. So maybe I should stop saying that and I should actually work on some foliage. Because I can't save it as a preset, of course. I can save it as a preset and then I can just rotate it or duplicate it or whatever we need to do. So I think let's try bringing in some foliage right now. Let's do one of the small, tiny cypress trees. Because we can do that now. Let me see. You're roughly about there. Where are you? Just in line. Just in line. Actually, that needs to go there. Yeah, that's right. I do maybe that and that on the rotations. And then let's just jump into maybe trees for a second, because I know that we have a bunch of cypress trees as well in here. So we've got the yellow cypress, which are lovely. Maybe we could have that at the entrance. Or even we could have that on every post. The cypress trees are typically structured like this, so we could have those running up to it. Maybe then we could have one of the thin cypress on the back and side, if it wants to fit. You don't, because that little shrub is there, but that's fine. We could always just get rid of that one. And then maybe we bring in maybe these big flower bushes. I mean, we could have those like just here, right? In amongst the cypress bush. Or is that the cypress tree, I should say? But is that too much? And will it fit over this side? I mean, it will fit over this side too. So 1, 2, 1, 2. That's kind of where it would be. And I actually like the way the shrub's coming through the fence like that. I think that's quite cute. I mean, it's a bit packed in. And actually, I don't love the yellow ones in those spots. Maybe I do the regular green ones. And instead I use the pastel patches. Let's try that on each side. Let's do another one here, 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 and here. Kind of like that. I prefer the green. I feel like it gives more of a contrast. And then we could always put the pastel patches in. And that feels just a little bit less claustrophobic and less intense. Yeah, something like that. And I wonder maybe if we've got like some of the mini Mythopia ones. I know we've got a Mythopia bush like this. It could fit somewhere like that. Just on the entrance. And then we've also got the, you know, we've got the little trees. And we've also got a forked tree, which I think has a smaller footprint. It does. That has a smaller footprint like that. However, what's bugging me is the fact that it's eating into the path. So I wonder if we just get rid of that. And maybe we get rid of that one. We bring that up into that space. I don't think I'm going to be able to do what I'm thinking, which was that. No, I don't like that. No, we can just have that come across. I would like to bring the seats maybe down by 1 if that's the case. Or even down by 2. No, that looks off. 2 definitely looks off. Yeah, I think that's fine. But then I can't, unfortunately, fit that little shrub in anymore. So maybe I put that just on the back corners. kind of like that. I think it's just peeking over the edge, peeking over the edge. Which works fine for me. And then maybe we just sneak in a big one of those. A big one of those there. Or what we got? We've got the ones with gold as well. Or we use some of the Eternity Isle ones, which I didn't think of. The Wild Tangle, because they've got a smaller footprint, so we could maybe put one of those there. I love the green of these. I love how bright they are. I also love the fan palms, which can just sit like just behind it as well. We could do something like that. And then maybe we even bring one of those just to finish it off, like out the back. Kind of like that. Where are you sitting? Just on the outside? So I think that's like a cute little cubbyhole seating area that you can go and sit in. And I believe that would still leave that fence if I wanted to. All the way down there, which is quite cool. So I think that might work. And we'll be able to, hopefully, if it all saves okay, save that as a preset. And fingers crossed, if there's no shrubs on the other side, I should be able to group that all up. Save it as a preset. And we'll call it seating. I'm just going to grab it. The only thing I need to think about is how far away. Actually, let me do the path first because that's going to actually indicate where it goes. So I am 1, 2, 3. I'm the 4th tile in. 1, 2, 3. I'm the 4th tile in. And I'm just going to bring that up to where I think is just about right, which is there. And that is 3 wide. Like that. And then on this one, it needs that funny little shape. So that is what? 5 wide. So let me grab the path. 5 wide. At least. Then it comes out, I believe. Like that for 3. Then in 1, up 1, across, down, gap, back up, across, down, and out. See, look at that. Look at that memory. We can do that, and we can do that. And then in theory, providing everything aligns for us, we should just be able to drop that in. Where are we? One further back from the edge, so there. Just like that. We have our other seating area just on the other side, which looks great. Super, super fun. I like that. Yeah. Let's save that real quick to make sure that it saves. And we're done for that section. There we go. I like it. All right. I went ahead and did the other side as well. Missed a tile there. But I went ahead and did both sides and I reversed the color scheme. So I actually reversed which one was gold and which one was white based on the path itself. So I think this looks pretty good. I think it matches nicely. I still have my own voice in the back of my head at the start of this recording saying, I'm not going to do symmetry. And here I am with an extremely symmetrical build. However, I do think it looks pretty good. I think there's just a few little bits on this center bit to finish off, and then we can work on the side pieces, which shouldn't take as long because I'm thinking of using quite a bit of foliage in those areas, especially some of the big foliage pieces that we have from Storybook Vale. So the one thing that's really not kind of like sitting in a way that I like is this central section. I don't really know. I didn't know whether there was some way I could bring in some sort of old border path with this one as well, you know, something like that, but it's just not quite working in the way that I anticipated. However, I do like using single tiles sometimes as kind of like stepping stones or borders or something like that, so we could possibly do something along these lines, just across the edge, just to give it a bit of interest, just like that maybe. That already does feel a little bit more interesting, and maybe we put one in the corner too. And we do it on this side, same thing, just every other one. Drop those in, and then maybe we just have one on the very edge, something like that. I like that. I don't know whether to do the same thing down this side. This is probably going to take me a minute to do, but it just ties in the extra patterns that we've been working with, which I quite like. And the nice thing about paths is that they don't add anything to your item limit, so you don't have to worry about increasing it or anything like that. I mean, I'm about a third of the way through my item limit. It looks both for unique and total items. And to be honest, I don't have a great deal of this map decorated, so unfortunately, that's quite high, but it is what it is. Sometimes when you have big biomes, I always think with Wish Blossom Ranch as well, that expansion, when you have big biomes and then you have somebody like me who likes to do really detailed builds, I kind of get carried away with adding a lot of detail sometimes, which I love, but it does have an impact on that item limit, like I said. So I think that looks good. I'm happy with that. The other thing, I don't know, should I just follow it all the way down the sides here? Should we just keep going? Maybe on both corners, and then I won't do it on the outsides down here. So we could just do maybe to there, and then the other one would be here, and then there. Unless I just do it there. I don't like that it kind of attaches to the seating area at the back. Let's do 1, 2, and then 3. Cool. I definitely think we need foliage in this area, so I think maybe that instead of these stone ones. Let's do something like this, and I do think an archway could be cute. Maybe this one. Drop this in. Just something a little bit different. Could even bring in some of the stone fences if we wanted to. Maybe somewhere like there and there. I don't know if you can attach these posts closely on a diagonal. Looks as though maybe you can't. That's probably the closest you can get. You can't actually clip into them, so I think maybe we might have to have those without posts. That's fine. We could do maybe some of the pastel patches, just one here, one there. And then what else have we got? We've got these little items, which I really like. Do 1, 2, and then maybe bring in the fan palms, 3, 4, something like that. That already feels better, right? Foliage just makes everything so much better. It really does. And then we could do maybe one of those kind of either side like that, or even maybe we do them. I was wondering whether I do it in that spot, but I think it works as it is. And I didn't know whether to bring in some foliage down here. Specifically these cypress trees, but not have it on every other one. Have it on every other two. Just so it doesn't feel too overwhelming or too constricting. There we go. Something like that, I think looks good. And then jumping back into the foliage tab that's not the actual foliage, I just want to see if there's something I can place that's got a little bit of height to it. I do like the palms, but they don't want to fit in these gaps. I think they'd be a really good fit in here. I don't think... Actually, these have a tiny footprint. But again, they don't seem to go, and it's probably because of the roof on that Agora structure. Really, the only thing that's kind of working are these. Or I should say tall enough of those, but maybe this will work. Ah, so close. That one has a slightly smaller footprint, so that does work, but it does not have the height that I was going for. But I should keep that out because I love the gold on it. And I think that the gold is important to tie in. So let's actually put one of those down there. Let's put one of those down there. Actually, let's place it there and there. And maybe we do one in the middle on each side, just like that. I mean, I could, I guess. I don't know if I have enough. Put them down this area. How many of these do I have? I still have 26, so I think I have enough. There we go. Feels very luxurious and opulent, and I do think that this is fine for this area. So let's do something like that. And then I'm just gonna... Aha, I've run out of those. That's fine, I should be able to save them as a mirage. So what I'll do is I'll just save what we've done. We'll fly on over there. I'll pick it up and then hopefully save it as a group. Like that. We can save it as foliage. Grab that again. Pop that in the corner. Grab it again and pop it in that corner. And in theory, we can come on over here, buy it, and it will just fill in the space. Just like that. I wonder if we could use the little ones. Maybe somewhere around by this. Maybe just here, here. There and there. And I think that central section is done. I don't actually want to place anything round here and round here, because I don't want to block myself from being able to run. So I think this middle bit we might actually be done with, which is quite cool. One thing I do have to remember now is I can't really change this, although it's too late because I've done it. So let me undo that and undo that. So if I need to change this middle bit to have diagonals, I'm going to have to remember to break it right there and right there. And then it only affects the middle bit. So that's just a note for myself to remember. Otherwise, I think it looks quite good. I think it looks quite good. The one thing we don't have, which I've just realized, is any lighting. Any lighting whatsoever, in fact. I don't know what sort of lighting might be the best fit for this. Probably something candle-based. I know we've got these atrium candles, but I'm thinking probably something like the candelabras. I've only got 10 of these, so I'm going to have to bear that in mind. But yeah, I think that these might be suitable. It's just a case of where to put them. I guess I could put them maybe either side of the fountain. Maybe I don't need that many, just either side of the fountain. In the corners of each, perhaps. Although they feel like they're floating a little bit there, right? I don't need those. All right, I'll just leave it by the fountain for now. Unless we added them in just off the back corner of those fences. Just like that, just so that they're in the background. And then maybe we could grab some of these atrium candles and just drop them in. Just in a couple of different little places, maybe. Just like that. Great, I think that's it for the middle section. One thing I have seen is that you can grab these circular pieces, create a circle itself, and then you can actually pop a well skin in the middle. So that actually creates like a nice little well skin area, which I think is quite cool. So I really like that. I do have a couple of different well skins, but I don't think any of them... I mean, the cherry blossom one goes okay. It feels very regal. It does have a marble element to it, but it's a little more, I guess, pink than I would typically go for, because I've not... Well, I say I've not used a great deal of pink in this build. I think some of the bushes and the flowers do have pink in, but I'm not sure. I kind of, in some ways, like the simplicity of the regular default well. Like, it still has the gold on it and stuff like that, so I don't know. I was wondering whether to do some sort of... I'm just going to delete these for now. I don't know whether to do some sort of well feature in front of this Agora building in some capacity. Something like this. Then we take that and we just place it a little further back. And just move my little ancient vacuum out of the way. Then maybe we bring this down there. Find the center of this somehow. Kind of like this. Because this could be a secondary building over here. It's a little bit more regal, I guess. And we do actually, you can place a bunch of these down. So you could, if you wanted to, place like 3 or 4 of these to create some sort of structure. You could even place them, I think, back to back. So you could have like a big temple type thing if you wanted that too. Like that. You could have it on the side. I don't really know. Let me see. I didn't know whether you could create some sort of courtyard area. with it if you wanted to. Some sort of structure like that. It's pretty large. I wonder if that fits in the middle. It would if you spread them out just a little bit more. But actually, to be honest, I don't hate that idea. I wonder if we have... Let me grab that. Let's find a place for that. There. I think maybe there. And that's where I think we're going to hit an issue with it going over the path like that. Unless you did something on a 45-degree. I mean, I don't mind that, actually. I quite like how that looks. And then where's the center? That's the center. Of that, at least. So it's round about there. If I move that path up, you can see that's the center line. Place that down there, and then maybe bring this across, and then we can bring this one across to match. Hey, that looks quite good, actually. I quite like that. So maybe we do path to each of those. Kind of like that. And then we can just bring it out around this one. Make sure that's all filled in. Bring this out, up, across, down, back up. I think we could go with that for there. I'm going to bring it out an extra one on each side. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it go like this. Oh, like that. And then we'll just add an extra little bit on. So it's up, across, up, across, across, up, across. And then we'll just add an extra little row by there. And I'll disconnect it from that for now, so I can play with the diagonals. There we go. Going back by one does line it up with the path, but I think I prefer it. To be honest, I actually quite like it like that. So maybe I can connect this back up, but let me just... add that bit in. Well, I'm not sure, because if I go back one with this, and then I go back one with that, that might be the case. I don't need to tweak it anymore. Ah, there we go. That did work. Okay, so let me change all that, but then let me bring this back down to connect. And then I can bring this down. Just like that. Okay, let's go. That looks good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Let's save that super quick. Always get a little bit nervous that I lose stuff, but we've been okay today. Hop back in. Let's just flesh this out a bit. Let's see what else we've got going on. I know that we have... I think I've removed them now, but I know that we still have the Agora pieces, so I'm just going to pop those back down while I look at this and everything we have. Don't think I'm going to be able to make any diagonal connections with this just because of the way that the grid is. Like, I don't think I'm going to be able to connect to each other. I mean, you can, but it's not quite right. So that's just something to be aware of if you use diagonals at all. However, I wonder if we could do... Meh. Let's see what we got over here. We do something like this, maybe. Or even the external corner instead. Where's that? Just about there, I think. And then what have we got? I don't love that. I guess we could do that. And then we could bring that down to match. And then maybe bring it out by one just for a little bit more interest. I know we're hitting the corner of that, which is not ideal, but I guess let me see what it looks like when I add an extra one. I mean, I think it makes it feel a little bit more formal, I suppose. Let's see. What I'm thinking of doing over here is adding in a specific area for my well where I have like a crafting table and also the vacuum and that sort of stuff right in this section. I think that's going to make it easier. I used to do that in my main valley, but for whatever reason I stopped. And then let's do the same on this side. I think we can fit 2. Don't think I can fit... I was going to say, I don't think I can fit a diagonal one in. But no, I definitely can't. But I could put some trees in. Maybe a taller tree? Just in that gap while I have it. Large cypress tree. It's got a relatively small footprint, so we could put it there and it blocks off the edge of that, which actually I quite like. Let's do that. Is that in line with the pillar? It is. Is that in line with the pillar? It is. And then it just blocks off the end of that, so it makes it look a little bit more integrated. And I wonder if we just bring that all the way down as far as we possibly can. And just have these like enshrouded in shrubs. Maybe we can go back a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And out 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and out 1. And that's just about right. So they're set back a little bit, and then you get the adjoining, or the joining, I should say, of those gilded bits on the front. So actually, yeah, I quite like that. The path probably still needs a little bit of tweaking. Maybe something Let me disconnect it again. I'll probably leave it disconnected for now. Change it to this, and then I can take a good look at what we've got. So let's do an extra one of these out on both sides. So extra one, extra one, extra one. And we could do maybe that and back in. I think that works. Then down one. And we can just change that back to diagonal. And there we go. That looks good. Yeah, that looks good. I'm happy with that. So I think if I reconnect this now, I'm sure I'll deconnect it again. Disconnect. I'm sure I'll disconnect it again, but what I am going to do is I'm going to bring in some foliage into these areas. So I'm going to place one of these in this corner and one of these in this corner. Something like that, because that just makes it feel very Grecian. I don't know what I meant to do when these pieces end, because we don't get like an end cap or anything with them, unfortunately, with this set, which is fine. I just didn't know how to actually make it stop without it feeling just a little bit jarring. And I don't want to use those trees again out front because it blocks the view. So I guess I'm just gonna have to put up with it. What a shame. But that's okay. We can work with it. I don't know whether to use a Fountain of Thebes somewhere over here. Maybe like, I don't know, maybe in these corners? Like on either side? Just kind of going with the flow and seeing what works. I think that actually looks quite cute. Maybe we could build this out. So this side can be more natural. Maybe with bringing in some more foliage elements. With probably having a path out of there as well. But let me see where that is. So the equal on this side is about here. Which isn't a million miles away. If I do something like that. I mean, that's just about... I think that's exactly equal with the other side. But obviously it's not equal with the gates. However, if I move this all across to sort of like here, I think it'll be too far across and that'll bug me as well. So maybe it's the case that I just suck it up on this side. And we do that. And we do those 4 instead. Or we could do one out there and have that as a bigger path. And then, yeah, we can have the chunky foliage on either sides, kind of like that. It would be quite cool, though, to do maybe like double gates. So like a double walkway. I know I've gotten distracted with this side right now. But that's okay. And then we could use the stone fences. Maybe along here. So kind of like this. Drop that in. Drop one of those. Hopefully we're not a million miles away, but I feel like we're... That's okay, because I can move this one. Oh no, look. Ah, there's a jump. That's fine, because what if we do... maybe that? Also, why am I centered on that one, but not on that one? Oh, I'm off. There we go. I mean, that's fine. I can do something like that over here. Yeah, that works. And then maybe we could have just flower patches in the middle of that. I'm just going to save this quickly as fence so I can grab it again. Where is it? Presets. Presets. Fence. And then we can do right about there. Oh, it moved at the last second. Did you see that? We'll do right about there. And then that creates like a custom entrance to this area. Yeah, I like that. That's good. That's good. Coming back over here, maybe we should bring in some of those big statues. Like, if this is kind of like our city hall, civic hall, we definitely need maybe like these guys sat outside of it, right? Protecting it. Something like that. And then we may as well just bring in the other ones as well. So let's bring in some of the other Greek statues. Maybe one here and one here. And then in the middle, I wonder if we do one of the smaller, like, stone vines. Haven't really used those yet, but could be a place to use them. Nope, it cannot because they will not fit. Not unless I do that way. Let me jump out of furniture mode a sec. My camera seems to have soft locked. And then we can just pop back in and take a look. These vines, the footprint of them is really gigantic. And I do like them. I just can never quite find a home for them. Not somewhere that feels like right, though. Because even then, it still doesn't feel quite correct. But I guess we could have them maybe out the sides of the fountain. Kind of like that. I don't know. No, I still don't like them. As much as I keep trying to make use of them in this build, I just still don't really love them. We do have a chariot. We do have the chariots as well. Like, that feels very royal. So maybe we could put the chariots in. No, that's too close. That's too close. That's too close. Where could the chariots go? I wonder if the chariots go on the ends here. Like this. I kind of like that. In some ways. So I'm going to do the same over there. How many did I miss? Just one tile? There? No, wait. Not actually sure where I took it from. I think it was there. Okay. Oh, there we go. That adds just a little something extra to the ends of those. I love how I just jump between areas of this build all of the time. It just happens. It just happens. But what was I looking at? I was looking at something to fill that middle bit. Of course I was. We do have... I mean, we've got these easy chairs that I've not used. And we've also got these cloud kind of sled things. I do apologize if I sound a little nasally. I'm recording this over multiple days and my allergies from hay fever are playing up on today in particular, so I do apologize, but maybe some of you like the nasally sound. Maybe that's the case, but I'm sure that it's a little bit irritating, so I do apologize. I do quite like these in this spot. They actually fit perfectly in the middle. I think I'm going to have them face that way, so the red is on display. I don't know whether to set them back or whether to have them out proud. I think I might set them back. Just like that. That works for me. Maybe we could also... Actually, I think we're nearly there. I know we've got this like golden chair, which I do like as well. I actually think, to be honest, I prefer the golden chair compared to the circular rounded ones here. Like, I just feel like it fits this section a little better. So I'm going to swap those out for these. Somewhere around there. And then somewhere around there. And I think that looks 10 times better. And what we could do is we could have the cloud, this cute, like, golden sunray cloud, right over the top of these chairs. So it's really bringing down, like, the light. It feels like almost feels like an interview to be a god. Where are we? Just about there. 2 from the edge on that one. I'm going to come back 1, and then I'm going to come back 1. There we go. Yeah, that's fun. And then just on the entrance of this, I feel like we could use these planets, and also we could put them on the plinths. So what I'm thinking is maybe we do... Maybe we just do 1 in each side like this. Actually, let's come back. Tile each. Then we could go ahead and we could grab, where is it? These golden planets. Put 1 on here. And 1 on here, just like that. So those are up and floating. I do keep forgetting we have this like golden apple tree type thing. And that sparkles quite a lot, so I don't know whether to use that maybe in like one of these gaps. Kind of like that. We spaced evenly. These are just small little flourishes, obviously, but we can grab some of the flower patches, maybe place it next to the pedestal. Just about there. Both of those. Maybe even bring in the gold cypress tree, because we do have the gold one, which is nice, the yellow cypress. That just sets it apart, makes it a little bit different compared to the other section that we did. So we do something like that, which looks good. We could also do the same. Bring in maybe 2 of those. Over there. I think that's about right. Maybe I need to come up with that. And up with that. Round about there, I think. We'll go with that. And then I could grab some more of those flower patches and we can find a home for those somewhere. But I also actually would like to use, if I can find it, the big flower bush. Just because it is enormous. So we could put one of those down on each side. Can't find actually a spot to bring in the pastel patches in this area, probably because of those cypress trees. So what I might do is I might move the cypress trees to those corners like that, and then we should be able to fit in 1. Actually, if I move that up 1, Can I still fit you in? You want to go all the way over there? It is a little bit tight over here, actually. But then I've got my arbitrary path kind of like keeping me in check, so I think that's fine. I'm not gonna stress too much about that. Let's just put that there, and then we'll put that one right there. So it's just the same. Let me just check where that is. There's the point. 1, 2. There's the point. 1, 2. Okay. Yeah, that looks good. We do have lots of different trees as well, of course. Lots of different color ones. We've got a lot of yellow. For that particular tree, I don't think we have space. However, I do think we'll probably have space for the forked one, which we do by the look of it. So actually, if I bring the cypress tree down and across, or just down for that one, I think we should be able to fit that in quite nicely in the corners. I go as far back as I can. There we go. And if I find where that can go, I think it's about there. So we can still fit the yellow ones on both sides as well, just to add a bit of extra interest. And then it's not like the most glamorous thing in the world, but I am going to go ahead and put my ancient vacuum on one side. I'm going to put my ancient vacuum on one side with a chest. Put them in trees. Let's see what I've got. I do have quite a few chests. I think there's stuff in all of these large chests. However, I'm just going to place it down right here, because you can have a chest in each biome, which is really helpful. I'm going to place that down there. And on this side, I'm going to do a crafting table. We do have a Grecian one, so that actually matches, which is quite nice. By there. Let's put that there. And then I'm also going to do a... Hopefully, if I have one... I do not have one crafted, which is fine. Let's jump out of furniture mode and let that save. I'm going to come across here. And I'm going to craft myself up a Vizier table if I can. But actually, I can't remember if it's a Scrooge item. Oh, I think it is. It's a Scrooge item. That's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just place down something temporary for now. Let's grab maybe an oven. I can't remember actually what is a cooking station. That's on me. Utilities, maybe? I know that there's an oven, but the Vizier craft table, just for me, is slightly better because it's faster. Maybe it's in essentials. Alright, witch's cooktop is for now. So at least that way, I've got a crafting station and I've also got a cooking station. And then over here, I've got a vacuum. And then I can put everything immediately in the chest, which helps. Oh, look, I've got some stuff in here. So when I land in a biome, and I'm going to start trying to do this in all my biomes, when I land in a biome, I can set those areas up, which just means it makes it all a little bit more practical, which is always a bonus. But back to decorating, I think maybe, could I add some faux structures coming out here just to give it a little bit more regality? Maybe some extra... Where are we? Are we lined up to the back? I think we're just like one in. Something like that. But it doesn't fit on that side, unfortunately. I suppose I could have one. Or I could have just two back to back to make it a little bit longer. I don't think it needs it, actually. I'm just looking at that and I don't think it needs it. I think that already feels like a town square section. So I'm just going to have a quick look over here. I do like these like lanterns. Or these things with the braces. They do feel different. Maybe instead of the Fountain of Thieves, I have these in place. But I would like to use the fountain somewhere. But I just don't know if that's quite the right spot for them. So I move that into place over here. I do exactly the same thing on that side. I do have my little Pegasus house where you can assign companions, so I didn't know whether to assign like a little field of companions somewhere, but I just don't know where that would go right now. So I think I might leave it. And to be honest, looking at everything else, I think in terms of large decor, we're nearly there. Let's bring in maybe some light. Just move that across by one. I think I fit some candelabras in here. Do another one maybe on each corner. Just like that. I would really like I don't know, beachy grass type thing, but I don't think it's going to work with this build. We don't really have a yellow one, and we don't have one that clips, which is the only thing that I'm thinking about at the moment. Where can I go? Let me find my grasses. So it's usually the beach grass that clips into stuff, and you're able to have a version that sits over a lot of stuff. This is the one. But I don't think the green goes quite well. We do have the sunlit one, but it's much more dead. And we do have a yellow sunlit one. But unfortunately, it doesn't clip. It doesn't clip like the green beach grass. Everything should clip, in my opinion. We should be able to clip everything into everything else. I just think it would make the game look so much cooler. But maybe one day that'll come. Maybe one day. The rain has come back, which is fine. We don't mind the rain. We can work with it. I think what I'm gonna do next is kind of finalize up maybe the foliage on this side. That seems like a good place to start. Let's jump into trees, and then we can take a scroll down to Mythopia section. Now we've got 3 for Mythopia. We've got Mythopia plants, Mythopia vegetation tangle, and the Mythopia vegetation mass. Now some of these are bigger than the others. The mass, I think, actually I thought the mass was bigger, but I think the mass is the middle one, whereas the vegetation tangle is the biggest. And then we do have a small version in the Mythopia plants. So I'm just going to do something like that, I think. Maybe we could even rotate that. Possible. Maybe somewhere around here. And then we can just have the big mound like that. My concern about having the big mound on this side is that I'm not going to be able to run to get down to there. So I need to kind of strategically place this one. Probably about here. But then with this, I should be able to do something. something like that, I think. And they're kind of reversed, so I've got one there, one at the front, one here, one at the back. But I do just want to quickly check that I can run or fly past that if I need to, so I can still get to that mining node. I can still get down the side, which is great. If anything, I think it adds to it, but I'm actually going to rotate it that way. And then I'm going to bring this just back a little bit further. Yeah, just like that. I'm just going to see what it looks like if I do this. Actually, it seems to be a note on the floor that it's hitting, which I didn't even realize. I must have not picked up one of the journals. Because I can't fit this one down the side, unfortunately. Down that side, so I'm going to have to work with what we've got, and let's do something like that. I think looks good. I'm not going to worry about the backs because I'm not really ever going to see that. But then I wonder if at the front I drop in maybe the smallest one, the plants. Although that's not wanting to play, so let me tweak that slightly. I can take that back too. Which means I can take that back. There we go. And I should be able to, well, okay, still not. I was going to say I should be able to fit that in. If I rotate that once more, I've got a lot more flexibility with that. So I can move that back, and I can move that one back, and then I can bring this in. Just kind of in the middle, in front, like this. I don't know if I'm going to be afforded the same luxury on this side. I think I will, actually. And then we could bring in maybe something like that. That's a little bit close again, though. But I think it's just because of where that is. So I don't know where that was. Did I have that on an angle? No, I did not. But if I take it back, I can take it back by 3. It's just eating into the edge of that, which, to be honest, actually, I don't really love those either side. I don't really love those either side. Let's do something like that. And I wonder if we just bring in some structure at the front. Like, let's bring in one of these. Let's do the big flower bush as well, coming off the corner. So let's do that there. And then we can do the same thing on this side. We can do it there. And the flower bush can come round about here. And then what else have we got? What else have we got? We've got the actual structured cypress that we can just tack on the end. That kind of frames that section up a little bit. And then maybe we do some base foliage. Kind of like this. Just right on the edges. There, there, and there. We could find a bigger one just to finish that off with the structure. Like maybe here. And then maybe there. Yeah, that looks quite good. And then I don't remember if I have... It sounds strange, but I don't know if I have a waterfall that could fit, because I feel like that would be quite nice. Not unless I use something tropical, which isn't really going to match the vibe. But I don't know. I just wanted, like, I just thought a waterfall would be quite cute. I don't know where that's come from, but let's rebuke that idea. Let's reverse that. And then I don't know whether to use just one of those on the very edges. Kind of like that, just to wrap up that section. I can't remember if I have a Mythopia rock, actually. Like, I don't know if there was anything rock related here. I don't think there is. I don't know if any of those match with what the rocks look like in this area. That's the Dazzle Beach one. We've got the Glader Trust, which is way too dark. If anything, it'd be the Sunlit, but I think the Sunlit is also dark. So if I were to use a rock, it would probably be something like this, but I'm good with not using that, to be honest. Just move those back one. Actually gonna bring that bench out. Maybe right to the front. I wonder if I could fit a topiary behind it. Even if I came right to the front, could I fit something behind there? I could. That does look kind of nice, actually. I forgot about the topiaries. That doesn't look so nice. I don't know what I was thinking when I said that. I mean, I like the idea. I do like the idea of having it behind there. But I just don't think that particular one is going to work. Not unless I did something like double cypress or something like that. Unless I tried the gold ones to see how they fare. What do we got? 1, 2. I mean, it's not terrible. But I guess that's not something you want to describe your build as, right? Not terrible. I know that I am forgetting some more of the trees. Like, I know that we have like these little like bush shrubs and things like that. So I probably shouldn't forget those. So I'm just going to place just a small handful of those down. Just to remind myself that they're kind of there. So I think those 4 really are the best 4 that we have. I know that we have some maples as well. These are bugging me. I don't like those in that little spot. But I can't decide. Unless I do a tree here. I don't actually hate the tree. Do something like that, maybe. Maybe have the cypress. Oh, maybe have the cypress either side like that? That kind of evokes what I was going for with the topiary. Actually, I quite like that. That works for me. All right, yeah, let's do that. Let's go with that. And we've got the statues coming out here. This path, I think I'm just going to keep clear, to be honest, just because I quite like the impact of the path itself, like how it looks. I'm just looking at this section back here and I'm like, does it need an extra cypress? I'm just kind of going in and filling little bits in now, but I think it does. I think it does. I've not used the mosaic tiles anywhere, which is surprising, but I actually think that's fine. I think this middle bit works. I'm happy with all of that, to be honest. I don't know whether maybe... What else have I got? What else have I got? What else have I got? I guess I could put some of these stone benches down for decor as well. I don't know whether I need any in the middle bit. I don't think I do. I'd rather this be like a transient space. Like they don't feel like they belong. It just feels like almost like a work/walk space. Could put maybe, I don't know, maybe some down here. You know, something like that. That doesn't feel quite right either. Unless I just have them on opposite sides like this. Just at the ends. And where was that? Here. Right, just by there, and then up by here. There. Just make sure these ones line up. They do, and just on either side of those, though, I think it needs, like, you know, like something like this. Just to sell it. On the middle of the bench or on the back of the bench? I actually quite like it. Quite like it on the middle. I did forget these two though. Like, could I find a home for these in this space? Actually, maybe instead of that, I use this. Like that. Drop that in there. And maybe we could use these golden apples again somewhere. Oh no, does it go over here? Does it want to sit next to that? It does, but it wants to remove the cypress tree. Unless I do it maybe this way? No, and then it still removes that. What if I do it this way? Aha! And maybe we could sneak it into that spot. Yeah, just like that. So we've still got it. We've still got it in place, which is nice. I think that works. I'm good with that. I don't know whether to have maybe these on each side of this. I think it just adds a little bit extra interest. And then finally for the, let me see. Can I fit this marble fence in anywhere else? And if so, where should it go? Those are the questions. Could I have some between the path? Would that make sense? Would it be interesting, maybe? Visually interesting? I guess we could take a look, see what it looks like. Do something like that. It might look dumb, and that's okay too. Oh, not if we go to wardrobe, then I make myself look dumb. Come over here. I think this looks kind of stupid. Grab that, pop it in there, and then do one more. It does look kind of silly to stop it like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of all those. Just like that. The only place where I didn't think it looked too bad actually was there. No, it does. It looks silly. I should stop. I should stop with that right now. Just quite like how we've used it on the corners. But it's quite hard to fit that in elsewhere. So like that, for example. I like how that looks, but then where else am I going to use it on the other edges where it cuts off like halfway? So that's probably silly and probably me overthinking it. Unless I always do that. Unless And no, I didn't use anything over here either. You could just add some little flourishes, although that doesn't even fit over that side. What is going on? We fit any around here? No, it seems like it would want that out of the way. Actually, it can fit on that corner, which I don't mind. Like that. Could we fit it on maybe this corner too? No, because I've got the plant in there. If I move the plant back, could we fit it? You could, but you lose the effect of the plant pod. So actually, let's keep it on the middle one only. And I was just looking at the front. Could I fit it maybe down here? Kind of like that. I think that works. And then I think that's probably it on maybe on the fencing. That's the vibe I'm getting. I guess we could do again. No, I'm good with that. Just try that, see what that looks like. I like just doing, I don't know, I guess embellishments. Oops, that was too far. Let me undo that. Specifically with the path, I feel like path is always a good place to play around and try new things. You know, just something like that makes it feel a little bit different, breaks up the big gold sections, you know, that sort of stuff. Yeah. I think maybe I forgot those on either side of these. So 1, 2, and then 1, 2. We'll do... You know what? Actually, I think that is really it. I know I keep saying that, but I don't think there's anything else I want to add. Not that I can see anyway. So let me just do the big foliage bits on this side, and I think we should be good to go. He says, in theory. Unless I did something... Unless... I could do something cute, maybe like with this side, something like that. What have we got? Maybe like this. Or could I do... No. Need to be stopped. I need to be stopped. I didn't actually think about putting these down here, but they hit those foliage pieces, so they don't quite work down there, which is fine. I don't know, I do kind of like that though. I do kind of like that. What if I do that and that? And where are we? Do I need to be here? Just one? The other thing that was intriguing me was possibly the use of the wiggly lines. Just looking at those fountains, but I don't think I can squeeze a fountain in anywhere else, so I should probably quit while I'm ahead. I didn't end up using these because I replaced them for the easy chairs, but that's fine. I don't actually think I need those either. I do have that Muse's urn, but I don't have a single place to have it. Like one single place. So I'm just gonna get rid of that for now. I'm gonna get rid of the gates. Maybe this one. I feel like I probably should fit fill in somewhere. Yes, we could put fill maybe like here on both sides. We could do that. Then we can get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that. And then in here, let's get rid. Maybe that. Don't need that. Let's get rid of these pillars. That. For now, I think this can go too. So can those. And I think we are wrapping all of that up. We have these little Grecian benches, which are a little bit different as well. It's more like a vanity seat, but I do like the red cushion on it. I just don't know where, if anywhere, that could be snuck in. I guess maybe I could put it like there. Why? Why not? I don't know. Let's do that. Let's do that. Then I think that's probably about it. I don't really think having the squiggles next to the Greek ornament pattern looks quite right. To be honest, I don't even think having the circles looks quite right, but let's just delete them. Let's just get rid. And then we can just fill in with the big pieces that we used. So let's do one by here. Let's do one by here. Grab the one with the big yellow tree on it. Sneak that in. Rotate and sneak. I don't think we can fit that one in. But actually I think that looks quite good. I think I really wish I could fit this down here. But it's just not gonna work for me. I'm 3 tiles out by the look of it. And then heartbreakingly on this side, I'm only 1 tile out. But that's fine. What I am going to do though, I think I'm going to swap them around. I'm going to bring this down towards the front. Like that, just to kind of like match it with this side. So it needs to be roughly about here. I think something like that. And then I should, in theory. Oh no, is that why I did it originally? Because I couldn't fit this one in? Again, the same issue. I do think I could probably bring in some of these bigger trees too, just to tie in the color palette, like over on this side. Let's do that. Let's do one maybe, I don't know, by there. I think I could probably spread that out a little bit just to give it a bit of variation. And then on the run up to this, I think it'd be good to have the cypresses back in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring these in if I can. And I'm going to do, I think, one green one. Actually, let's do the green on each end. Like that. And then a big tall green one. Like that. And then maybe 2 yellow ones. I grab those from here. Something like that, just so it feels structured. I don't like the yellow ones. No, rebuke. Maybe a green one in the middle. And I just center those. So it's like that. And then maybe I could bring in Where's my big pink one? And maybe we could sneak this in some opacity like that. Just gonna move that back a little bit, move that up one. I should be able to then move that across. I kind of like the way that that creeps through. I'm gonna have to move this one across, and then that one. Just so I'm able to fit this in. One there and one right there. Then I can bring these cypresses in place. Am I touching that one? Yes, I am. Bring this over. Bring this over. That one's a little bit tighter. Just because of the rock work. So I'm just going to bring... Actually, no, that's fine. And then this one can go here. And this one can go... Not on the end, because it can't fit. But that's okay. Tell you what I'll do. I'll just get rid of that one then. And then we can just have it like that instead. That looks good. I'm happy with that. I've only got 2 of these left. These 2 lights, so I don't know what to do with these. Maybe I just don't need them at all. What I could do, hopefully, if I can fit this in. Okay, that's fine. I can have it. Let's do these flower patches. Like this. And we'll just have that as a run down there. I like that. Yeah, that's cute. And let's do 1, 2. And then we can just grab them all one by one. We should be able to fit the same amount in. Yeah, that's nice. That's a nice entrance. I like that. And then actually, let's do... Where are you? Let's do that there. Let's do that there. Just like that, for a bit more color. And I can go ahead and I can just kind of sneak these in where possible. Sort of like that. Maybe we sneak a little flower bush in as well. Or flower patch, I should say. I wonder if I could bring that over to this side. Just do the same thing. Little, kind of a big shrub. Maybe another big shrub there. Kind of like that. And I think that's probably just about done. I hope I haven't forgotten anything. I don't think that I have. I don't think that I have, but you never know. Let's just sneak one of those in like that. Oh, that's a nice framing. Now I'm going to leave this bit empty. I wasn't sure, but this bit feels a little bit more bind-like than Mythopia. I guess I could put a bunch of candles down. I've got 72 of them, so I guess the question is why not? Do that. Do that. Do that. We could just have it come in all the way across as well. maybe one in here. Like that. I think we're just about good to go. I do like the way this path looks. I do. Let me just change that to diagonal a sec, see what that looks like. No, that looks terrible diagonal, so leave that as the bit. That's bugging me there. That's the only thing that's bugging me. I would like to use it because it's new from the start path. Maybe we just have a single, like, love seat. Just right under the archway like that. The only other thing is I'm like, should I bring that fence back in here? Should I just do something like that? Or should I use something else? Maybe I bring a small tree in. I think that will make me feel better. Haha, the Mythopia mini tree. I think that's it. I think that's the ticket. Yeah, that's it. That's the one. All right. I know you've seen it, but let me just give you a little walking tour. So this is the approach down from the Library of Lore, from the Bind. We've got this lovely little area where we have all of the different flowers and the stone fences into another set of gates. Obviously, we've got that beautiful Greek kind of pattern on the floor. It is a bit more impactful from above, but I do like how it looks. Down at this angle, we've got all the vegetation just around us as well, making it feel nice and lush. We have the Greek chariot, of course, just there, kind of giving a bit of definition as to what you're walking into. We slightly tweaked the benches so they're on a diagonal now, just to let me pass a little bit easier. So off to the left, we've got this nice little seating area. Like I said, maybe it's a meeting of the gods or something along those lines. We can still see the water in the background as well, which is nice. Coming off this way, we've then got the water features in the middle. So all of those fountains going off together. I am excited to get some additional water stuff, but I think that it goes really well and it looks like the pool is meant to be there. A little statue of Phil as well, just in case he pops around, he wants to see himself. Coming down to the center section, we then have that Hercules fountain, which I think looks great with all those little embellishments around it. We've also got the lights, the sunlight reflecting off everything, and we've got that big kind of like Agora wall column section with all the topiaries and stuff down the back. Off to the left, we've got another little seating section with the fountain as well, and we've also got the entrances into those gazebos, which these are some of the prettiest gazebos that we have in game, no doubt. Coming out of that, we do have that little like love seat and the archway just on the water there. So you can, if you wanted to, go down here, still fish, sit, lounge on the chair if you so desired. We got the fences and whatnot as well, which looks great. Moving on down, we walk past the second pool or the second water feature. Another Phil statue. Same thing on this side with the meeting of the gods area. And then we kind of come over to where the well is, and that's kind of like my command center, I guess, for Mythopia. So I've got some statues and all sorts of Greek elements going on out here, out front. A nice big run through here if I need to get up to the other part of Mythopia. And then we've got the well, so I'll land in this section. We've got my functional areas. We've got a crafting table. We've got a cooking station. Some nicely designed stuff as well. We've got some planets. And this does feel like it's like, I don't know, the Civic Hall or something along those lines. And I've got a little vacuum in here. Shame we don't get vacuum skins, but that's not an idea I want to give to Gameloft. I've got a little chest as well for picking stuff up in this biome. And that is just about it for this build. I think it looks really good. It's definitely a bigger build than I've used to. All right, my friends, that is it for this video, and that is it for this decorating long play. I do really hope that you enjoyed decorating alongside me today with this build in Mythopia. If you did, please feel free to let me know down in the comments below what your favorite part is, or even like the video. Maybe consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already for more Disney Dreamlight Valley content. I am going to leave it there for today. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, but for now, I will catch you in the next one, and of course, I will see you in the valley.